right, tomorrow's leaders, welcome back to the show. Good to have you back. Okay, so today we're going to begin with another riddle. Get those brain juices flowing and start the engines. Here we go. Okay, this one I'm going to rate maybe an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of difficulty. Last week was a tough one. So I've not yet heard any answers on that. Well, that could be because I'm recording this one before the other one's been published. Okay. All right, so here's the riddle. The riddle is, I can fly without wings, I can cry without eyes. Whenever I go, darkness flies. What am I? Once again, I can fly without wings, I can cry without eyes. Whenever I go, darkness flies. What am I? You know the drill. Text me, email me, call me, send a carrier pigeon with your answer, and I will announce you on this show if you get it right. Okay, so speaking of show, let's get into it. The title of this episode is The 7 Disruptive Questions That Will Spark New Growth in Your Organization. I love disruptive questions, and it's interesting, the power of questions. If you think about like the whole value of questions, the best leaders that I know are great at asking questions. Not only just asking questions, they ask great questions. When you ask great questions of your organization or of your team, you get people thinking. You get great answers. You get solutions. You get change. You get growth if you ask the right questions. And if you think about like ChatGPT, the toughest thing with ChatGPT is knowing the questions to ask or how to phrase the question the right way. There are courses on how to prompt GPT the right way. So the power is in how you ask questions, what questions you ask, and when and to whom, right? So the power of questions. I'm going to give you 7 disruptive questions that will help you spark growth in your organization. Okay, so question number 1. What would we do differently if we were starting from scratch, or if I were starting from scratch? Okay, now for those of you that are business owners, you can think about that, whether you started 3 years ago or 30 years ago. What would you do differently if you're starting from scratch? That just prompts thinking and conscious level of thought around what mistakes were made. What did I learn? If I truly were going to start right now, it might take me 3 months to get to where it took me 3 years. Or 10 years, right? So what would I do differently if we were starting from scratch? That's question number 1. Question number 2, if over the next year we could only do one thing, what would that be? So the great thing about that question is it helps you identify what is the one thing that if you did it and did it well, everything else would become either less important or totally irrelevant or totally unnecessary, right? So it makes you think about what's that first domino? What's the thing that causes the ripple effect for everything else to happen? If I could only do one thing for the next year and do it really well, what would that be? Okay, that's question number 2. Question number 3. What if we eliminated our process, totally eliminated our process? What would we do? Okay, so whatever that might be. If you're you make pizzas, your process for making and delivering pizzas, if you eliminated it, what would you do? How would you recreate it if you had to eliminate it, right? So think about whether your process is working or it's not. If you had to eliminate it, what would you do? Okay, prompts new thinking, disruptive thinking. All right, question number 4. This is a great one. If we had no budget constraints, what radical change would we propose to our organization? What radical change would we make if we had no budget limitations? That's a great one, right? Think about that. How often do we rule out things because of financials? Well, it's too much or whatever. We just don't let our brains go in that direction. The great thing about this question is it helps you think really, really big. And in some cases, there might be another path to get there than the financial outlay that would normally be required to get there. It gets the creative thought process going. How else might we get there? if we didn't have the finances. But this is take it out, take the budget constraints out. Okay, question number 5. What would we do if we had to double our revenue with our current resources? If we had to, we had no choice, we had to. With our current resources, current number of people, current financials, what would we do? How would we double our revenue? What might we do? What would we look at? What would we think about? What would we approach? What different markets would we get into? Okay, question number 6. I know we're going through these quickly. I'm going through them because I like to keep these condensed, give you good nuggets, and then leave you on your day. Question number 6. If we could only serve one type of customer, what would it be? Okay, whatever business you're in, if we could only serve one type of customer, what would it be? So many companies, so many businesses, so many individuals are serving so many different types of clients and customers. They just have not defined themselves. Okay, so what is your ideal target client, customer? Okay, if you could only serve one, what would it be? Which type of client? Question number 7. If we had to cut our delivery process in half, our time rather, to deliver our process or our product in half, what would we do? What changes would we make? Again, if we had no choice, we had to cut it in half. It's taking us 10 days, we got to get it to 5. It's taking us 3 months, we got to get it to 45 days. Whatever, we had to cut it in half. What would we do? What changes would we make? Okay, these are great disruptive challenge questions. Bring these into your next team meeting. Ask these. If you're a solopreneur, sit down, grab a nice quiet space, cup of coffee, sit outside, whatever, and think through these. Some great answers are there. And again, the power is all in asking the questions, asking the right questions. Great leaders, great entrepreneurs ask great questions. So I will leave you with that, those 7 questions. I'm interested to hear how they work for you or what answers they bring. I'm interested, very interested, so share with me. And as always, go down below, like, subscribe, share, all that kind of good stuff, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.